go. Here we go. Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all. Welcome back to Twitty Plus. I'm your host, Slow Steph, social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the tweets. But man, last night, we had a fight, man. Had a fight. One of the most highly anticipated fights in a while. Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, I guess that was anticipated, but in terms of what was at stake, right? You got two champions. We had Errol Spence Jr., right? He got three of the belts, right, in their weight class, and then you got Terrence Crawford, right, who many look at as the pound for pound killer. You know what I'm saying? Pound for pound champ. Even though he only got one belt, he already had four belts in another weight class, whatever. So winning. If he would have won, winning that fight, he became the first fighter to win all four belts, to unify all four belts in two different weight classes. But yeah, man, this fight was highly anticipated. I think going into the fight though, I didn't necessarily have a favorite because I didn't want to sleep on Spence because he's done a lot. He's done a lot in his career. He's beat a lot of guys. Seven different title defenses. And you don't get three belts by just being weak. You know what I mean? Never been knocked down even in a fight for real. So, I didn't want to sleep on him. But then when you look at Terrence Crawford, though, you look at Bud Crawford, and man, like when we talk about just literally getting surgical in the ring, like that's what Bud Crawford does. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you could just look at highlights of him and it gets pretty dark, whatever, because this man really has tremendous punching power, right? I mean, he's a switch hitter, so he can come at you from both different angles, you know what I'm saying? And he actually he's so composed. He's so composed when he's in the ring. And you could just tell, like, when he's ready to knock you out, like he's just sending laser. It's like a laser, like it hits the target. Like he doesn't really miss. And in that fight, whatever, in last night's fight, the stats were crazy. Like everything was 50% or higher. Yeah, I mean, like he was landing like 60% of his power punches. You know what I'm saying? He was landing 50% of his jabs. You know what I'm saying? Like he was landing like over 50% of his body punches. Like he doesn't miss, whatever. So when you're fighting a guy that is that can knock you out, whatever, but is fully composed, can counterpunch, has good defense, it's gonna be a tough fight for you, whatever. So yeah, so going in, a lot of people, I think most people did have, when you look, and I've seen a lot of different YouTube reactions and things like that, a lot of people had Crawford winning clear. But there were some people, you know what I mean? You got even like boxers. You had Tank Davis saying Spence. You had the Charlo brothers saying Spence. And they might just be friends with boys. So like, those might just be his mans. But they were in support of Spence. So let's kind of get into the fight though, whatever. So one of the things, right, they say like what the goals of each fighter, like what do they want to kind of accomplish, whatever, during the fight. So with Spence, he was talking about he wanted to move his head when he got in there. Another thing was he wanted to dig to the body. He wanted to get body shots on Crawford. And then I think the last thing he wanted to land the right hook, right? So he's a southpaw. So that's a power punch right there. You know what I mean? You got the jab, and then you could hit him with the right hook. I'm gonna say this. The only thing those three things he accomplished, digging to the body, right? Like he was really trying to dig to the body, but he didn't move his head at all. Like he didn't move his head at all during that fight. And he might have landed one right hook like that I seen, whatever. Like he definitely was not throwing that right hook. Yeah, then on the other hand, you had Crawford. What he wanted to do is he wanted to control the range, right? Like control, how far, he can get with Spence, or how close Spence could get to him, things like that. He wanted to counter effectively, and then he wanted to land the straight left, whatever. And what I'm gonna say is that he checked off all them boxes, whatever. Like, so he was definitely countering effectively, right? He was definitely controlling the range, right? And I don't know. I think the reach was not that much different between the two of them. You know what I mean? Like I think maybe one of them had like a longer reach, whatever. But like Bud knew, like, all right, man. Once this guy gets in striking this distance, I'm tagging him every time, and that's really what happened, right? And then landing the straight left, right? Yeah. When it came to them power punches, when he was lining him up to knock him out, he was darting them. He was hitting them with darts, and he was hitting the target every time, whatever. So the way the fight begins, though, Spence is aggressive, right? Spence goes in and he's throwing a lot of jabs. He's throwing a lot of jabs. He's really trying to attack. And the announcers, they kept talking about how, like, oh, like, Bud, he likes to start off slow. He likes to he sometimes he gives up some rounds, whatever. So if Spence won a round, it probably was the first, because he was aggressive and he was getting to the body, right? And he was trying to land and he was getting in there. He did get caught with a couple, like one or two counters, whatever, but he was the aggressor. He was aggressor. So maybe by default you give it still wasn't, because I think Crawford hit some of them. He did some of them counters later into the round. So like he might have, what I mean, to the naked eye, he might have stole some of those, like he might have stole the first round. But just maybe by default you give Spence that first, because he was the one being the aggressor, and he wasn't really getting hit yet. Like he wasn't, round two. Spence is coming out again, aggressive as hell, right? And he's coming out aggressive. But now this is where he starts to get counterpunched a little bit, right? He's starting to be a little bit sloppy, and Crawford, he's composed. Like he really was just eyeing him up, lining him up, whatever. And those guys that fight like that, they're deadly. They're deadly because here's the thing. And we're gonna lead into this second round knockout, whatever. But like if you make, like, usually in these title fights, in these big fights, the first like 2-3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds even, guys are really just trying to figure each other out, like, and if you get knocked down in the first 3 rounds, you made a major mistake, right? And it's going to be a long night for you, and that's basically what happened. So right towards the end of the second round, you know Spence is being aggressive, and it's crazy because, a lot of times, man, these guys that try to walk you down, they don't really protect themselves like that. Now, Crawford is different. Crawford, like when he does get it surgical, I mean, he does protect himself. He keeps his gloves up all the time, whatever. But like Spence is going in there trying to, when you try and dig for the body, though, a lot of times these guys leave their face exposed. They don't keep that left hand up, whatever. And well, because he's a southpaw, so he didn't keep his left hand up, and that's what happened. So he's digging to the body. You know what I mean? He's not hitting, whatever, and then Crawford just hit him with a nice combo, 2-piece, pop, knocked him down, whatever. And I was like, oh shit. Oh, like you see a guy get knocked down in the second round. Most times, man, guys don't recover from that, because like I said before, if you get knocked down in early rounds, you made a mistake in a time period when you're not supposed to make no mistakes, right? Like you're not supposed to make a mistake that early. I mean, you can make mistakes later in the fight when you're super tired, but you make a mistake in the first 6 minutes of this fight, the first 2 rounds, it's probably over for you, man. It's probably gonna be over for you, and you're not really gonna recover. And yeah, I mean, for Bud, it's like, oh, I already know what he's gonna do. Like he made this mistake, whatever, and he probably seen him make a bunch of other mistakes that he ain't making pay for yet. So, and then once you get knocked down like that, and he caught him nice. Yeah, I mean, now you're gonna be you're gonna be a little bit shy, or you're gonna be a little bit tentative, you know what I mean, coming into it. And then the rest of the fight, man. So the second round, the seventh round, and the ninth round, those were like the big highlight rounds, whatever. But the other rounds, though, I'll give Spence credit. Spence did not back down. Like he kept coming in. But like after the second round, you could already see that Spence had took a lot of punishment in his face, because even after the second round, before the third round starts, they had the trainer come in, whatever, and just kind of evaluate him, because he rocked him. Like he was hitting him with shots that was straight rocking him, because that's the thing too. As Spence was being aggressive, he was getting stopped. And a lot of the stuff that Spence was throwing was not landing because Crawford is here with it. You know what I'm saying? Crawford is blocking like all that. He's composed. You know what I mean? He's doing his thing. And so round three was clear Crawford, just tagging him up. Round four, clear Crawford, tagging him up. And it seemed like there was those middle rounds, like 4 and 5, like 3, 4, and 5, where it felt like yo, this thing might be over. Like he might really knock him out like early on, whatever. Cause he was lighting Spence up, yo. And Spence's face was clearly messed up. Seventh round, that's when I think Crawford knocked him down 2 different times in the seventh. Um, yeah, he did. He knocked him down 2 different times, and both times it was Spence kind of coming in wide open. He coming in like this, wide open, not moving his head, not and even when he was throwing punches, he wasn't turning his body or nothing. He wasn't really like listening to the trainers. Now, I think it was just because he was trying to make something happen because they kept saying like, well, the only way he gonna get back into this is if like he really makes something happen. Like he's gonna have to land something. But Crawford was not for the bullshit, man. Like he was not there to make any mistakes, man. He was like I said, he was fully composed. He had full control of that fight. Seventh round, he knocked down Spence 2 different times. And a lot of times just towards the end of the round, he would knock him down and it would get crazy, it would get ugly. Yeah, control the range. Well, it's easy to control the range when you have the reach, whatever. So yeah, Crawford actually has a longer reach than Spence. So so now it makes sense why like Spence was like having to be aggressive and had to really dig in, and is because he doesn't have as long as a reach, whatever. But again, Crawford controlling that range. But yeah, rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, like he was that was when I think he was putting so much punishment on Spence, whatever. Like he was really stopping him. Like anytime that Spence was like trying to really be aggressive, he was just stopping him in his tracks, like bro, back up, back the fuck up, back the fuck up. Yeah, I mean, and like really hurting him. Like he was inflicting like the rounds that he was not even knocking him down. Those might have been the rounds that he was probably inflicting the most damage on him, whatever. Because it was just like he would just catch him with a counter and like, but he would tag him hard, like, and every power punch seemed like it hurt, bro. Like it wasn't no like, oh, you know what I mean? He grazed him. He was landing him square in his face. Like every power punch was moving. The only time that Spence's head moved, right, was when Bud Crawford was hitting that nigga, man. Like it was crazy. And then seventh round, he caught him, man. He caught him. You know what I mean? Knocked him down twice. The second knockdown in the seventh, I thought it was over because it was right at the end of the round. It was like the last 10 seconds of that round, whatever. And he just caught him with a crazy left, whatever. And Spence like literally like flew a little bit. Like his body, his like he didn't just knock him down straight down. Like he turned he did like a little 180, whatever. Like he just was like he felt like he fell. It was like on an angle that he fell, but his body turned, whatever. Like he turned the guy's body when he knocked him down. And then the knockout round, and the TKO in boxing is crazy because yeah, like I've seen it so many times now where you don't necessarily gotta knock a guy out, but it's like you're punishing him so bad, you're giving him so much punishment that it's like the ref gotta stop it, whatever. But I counted it in the ninth round, right? When Crawford is really just laying bombs on him, he landed 8 straight power punches on this dude, 8 straight undefensed power punches. Like he had no chance, whatever. And he wasn't just hitting him with one punch. He was pulling the full arsenal out on Spence, whatever. But like he hit him with 8 straight, and Spence was not protecting himself. Spence looked like he was gonna go down, whatever. But like it looked like nothing was on up. Like it looked like the lights was not on for Spence, whatever. And the ref just stopped it. And it's always like this. It's always ironic or funny when the ref stops it and then the boxer's like, no, like, and it's like, bro, he about to kill you, man. He about to kill you. Like you can't get hit with 8 straight. You can't get hit with 8 straight bombs and the ref just gonna let you go. Like, nah, you gotta hit him. You gotta either hit him back. You gotta show that you got some defense or something like you. But you can't get hit with 8 straight. He hit him with 8 straight bombs. Like, and it was like, oh no, this is it, they gotta end this fight. They gotta end this fight. And so now what's next? So now Crawford though is the undisputed champion in that weight division, and he's the first male fighter to accomplish that, whatever. So getting the unified titles in 2 different weight classes. So he's the king, man. He's pound for pound best boxer in fighting. um Obviously, there's other guys in other weight classes, but I don't even know. I don't even know what's next for Bud Crawford. Like it's his world, man. He can do whatever he wants. I know that he doesn't have like he's not as flashy or like as I like hearing him talk though, because I think Bud be talking that shit, whatever. But like he does. I guess he don't have that charisma, because that's what they talk about. Like he's been kind of blackballed, so to speak, whatever, or like people are not giving him a chance. I think people just don't want to fight him. Like, I really think people don't want to fight Crawford because he's too deadly. Like, he's too deadly. Like the thing with Floyd, he had that defensive style, and especially like later in Floyd's career, he wasn't really knocking nobody out. But so he'd go the distance with you. And I think a lot of people mistakenly thought that like, oh, I could take Floyd, like, I mean, like that defensive stuff is not going to work on me, whatever. And it really does. Like, it works on everybody, and he doesn't really get hit. And he's a boxer's boxer, because it's kind of boring, like, because he's not really, he's just scoring points, and and you're not really landing anything on him, whatever. But Crawford is the kind of boxer that, like, people when they envision boxing, that's what they picture. They picture a guy like Bud Crawford, who, yeah, he has the defense, whatever, but he's really gonna knock you out. Like that's what you want to see. Like, he really has the knockout power. I think, of fighters right now, other than like heavyweights in those smaller weight classes, like, Gervonta got knockout power, but like he not like Crawford though. And obviously they're in different weight classes to begin with, but no, like he really got that knockout power. Now Spence, he said he wants to run it back. He talked about how his timing was off. You could tell, man, he didn't have it all upstairs, man. So he definitely gonna have to regroup. He's supposed to be fighting Canelo in September, I believe. You know what I mean? And he wants to, obviously he wants to fight at a heavier weight class. And he's hoping that when he fights Crawford in December, because he said like he'll probably fight Crawford again in December, before the end of the year. He said he wants to fight him at 154. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, when you lose like that, it's probably hard to kind of pick yourself up, from that kind of loss, and to regroup. And he's gonna be fighting a guy that's even bigger than Crawford. Can he beat Canelo Alvarez? You know what I mean? Should he be worried about fighting Canelo? I think that's already scheduled though. So like, it ain't no backing out of that. Well, it could, but there ain't no backing out of that. But like, yeah, if he loses to Canelo, I think that's gonna take any steam away from him fighting Crawford again. And I think people would like to see it, so to speak, but like, this fight was so one-sided. Like, if you're an Errol Spence fan, he definitely let you down last night. You know what I mean? If you're a Bud fan, it was a great fight, and he did what he always does. I love the anticipation of this fight, but it's so rare that the fights actually live up to what you expect them to do. And this one wasn't one of those. Like in terms of like Haney versus Lomachenko, that was actually more exciting because there was actually like a reverse. Like Haney probably controlled early rounds, and then Loma kind of came back, and then Haney survived, whatever, and Haney still got the win. So that was like more like, oh snap. Gervonta and Ryan Davis, it was obviously clear Gervonta because he got the knockout. So like, yeah, it's these fights it's hard to get a fight that actually lives up to the hype. And I don't know what he can do to really beat Crawford, man, because He has to. You can't sit back with a guy like Crawford. Yeah, you can't just sit back and not attack whatever. One, that's not even Spence's style, but also that's where you're gonna get hurt. But like when he's attacking Crawford, he's not landing anything significant. Like he's not getting in there. So like I don't know, man. I think he should probably take it just for the money. But he like Spence could literally, if he go from undefeated to starting 2024 with 3 losses, like that's definitely a possibility. And then he's gonna be slipping down the ranks. He gonna have to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, he's 33 years old. Yeah, get your first 3 losses in the same year. It's gonna look dark for you, man. It's just gonna look kind of crazy. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see how it ends. But yeah, man. I don't know who the next big fight. I think the next big fight is gonna be Charlo versus somebody. Charlo versus Caleb Plant. And I think I don't know if I think it's Jamal Charlo, the other twin. So we'll see with that. I seen that Caleb Plant slap Bull at the weigh-in and kind of got hectic over there. So we'll see how that kind of turns out. But what y'all think, man? What did y'all think about the Spence and Crawford fight? You know what I mean? Did it live up to your expectations? Did you predict that Crawford was gonna do Bull dirty like that? Did you think that Spence was gonna fare a little bit better? I thought he was gonna fare a little bit better, but I didn't necessarily have him winning. I didn't have a pick. I said that Crawford is a safe pick, though. That's one thing I told my boy. I said, if you pick Crawford, that's a safe pick because we haven't seen anybody really impose their will on Crawford. People have seen Spence get beat up a little bit and he still wins, but it's like, nah, Crawford is a different animal. But leave a comments, man, what y'all think, man, of that fight, and what fights do you want to see next? Because that was like the one where it was like, oh, everybody wanted to see that. So I think, yeah, obviously you want to see. I think we want to see Gervonta, Shakur, Haney. Like, yeah, I think we want to see those guys kind of fight each other. But we'll see where that goes, though. But this is another episode. This is another clip from the 280 Plus podcast. I'm your host, Los Def, and I'm out. Peace.